My name's Fred Jones, and I'm the VP. I'm subbing for President Mark Zarnick, who can't be with us tonight, but he's here with us in spirit, I'm sure. I'd like to thank all of the members, donors, volunteers for all of their many contributions to our organization. I have a few items to tell you about before we begin the program. Tomorrow is the Trails Day, and it's with the Connecticut Forest and Park Association. We've been teaming up with them for the last few years. We're going to have a hike. Our hike will be at the loop by Hurricane Brook, but coming in the back way by East Pell Road. Pam and Steve Edmonds are going to be the leaders on that hike. They've been doing that for us for a couple of years. So everyone is going to hike on there, and that one be at East Pell Road at 9 a.m. in the morning. We have photographs for our 2018 calendar submissions are due July 15th. You want to speak with Carol Vincent over here. She can give you more details on that, and you can see some of the photos from past calendars, and we're using the ones that aren't put on the calendar to to use on note cards. And so please consider us or choosing Harland Land Trust for your Amazon Smiles. We're on that as well. Our membership and fundraising committee has a table over here with some signs that Chris Anderson so kindly donated that she made. We have some hats, some extra calendars, and note cards. And also we have some extra newsletters with membership forms. And don't forget the donation jars. And after the program this evening, refreshments will be served out in the hall, and don't forget the donation jars. All right. Well, this evening, it gives me pleasure to present Dick Cayley. Dick comes from Granby, our neighbor to the east, and he's been a resident of Granby for 45 years. He's taught high school science at Kingswood, Oxford for 40 years. When I saw that, I just said, God bless you, Dick. He's a board member with the Granby Land Trust, and he's president of the Salmon Brook Watershed Association. Tonight's program is Water Quality in Our Streams, How Can We Tell? And then, so after the program though, before refreshments, I won't have a couple of more announcements to make. All right, so Dick.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Alana, for reaching out to me, and thank you for showing up tonight. It's a good turnout. When I taught at Kingswood, Oxford, I would always walk into a classroom and start the class with a question. And when I walked in, the fear was palpable because the questions rarely had an easy answer, such as, what's the square root of 1744.7? And there's no answer. There's a lot of questions, there's no answer. I'd like to do three things tonight. And I'd like it to be interactive, so don't leave me up here to lecture. I don't do that, and I didn't make a career out of that. So if you have questions or comments or corrections, if you detect in me, as some of my students did, an erroneous remark, please don't refrain from jumping. They never refrain from jumping on me. Jump in where you see an opportunity. I want to do the three things. That's to ask you to bring out what are those factors that contribute to a high-quality stream, and secondly, how do we know? And thirdly, what are the threats to high-quality streams? I think in Harland and in Granby, we're very fortunate to have the quality of streams that we do. Now, I don't know much about Harland streams. We do draw some water from you in some of the feeder streams for the salmon brooks, and it's extremely high quality. And I say that having gone through the process of determining that through means which we'll talk about tonight. I've got some specimens up here which we'll look at, and let's begin. what factors contribute to high quality, and we use the word pristine, streams? What type of factors?
Low or no bacteria.
Low bacteria. Good.
Cold water.
Cold water. What do you suppose the temperature of the brook was today, or is? What do you suppose? Cold water.
45.
45, 42, 56.
Oh.
Is that cold? Yes, that's pretty cold. That's pretty cold. Try it out. As I did this morning.
Where's the hot spring?
Now, cold water. Brett?
Is it riffling?
Riffling, you want, yeah, we have riffles, and we will get at riffles tonight for sure. They're an important asset to have so that you can determine the quality of the water. Other factors. I used to ask questions and I would walk around, I would wait and wait and wait. I was very content to have the long pause in my classrooms. Yes? Filtering. Explain that.
Sand, rock,
Oh, sand, okay.
filtering out impurities, leaves, things like that, or no?
So you're assuming that our pristine stream has difficulties that can be dealt with by the stream itself, maybe? Sorry, good thing. That's good.
What's living in the water?
I'm sorry?
What's living in the water?
What's living in the water
Yeah.
will contribute to the quality of the stream?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or is it the other way around? The quality of the stream will contribute to what's living in the water. There is what you're pointing to, a strong relationship between those two.
How about fish?
Fish.
Yeah, they keep the water clean, don't they?
Think that? The fish keep the water clean?
Nope.
No, they're going to vote against that. I don't think that they have a positive or negative effect on streams. They are they're a component. And I suspect if you added it up, there'd be a teeny little negative effect. I've never even had that cross my brain. In Granby, we've got, and that's pretty high tech, huh? Teach you. In Granby, we've got two major streams, the East Branch and the West Branch of the Salmon Brooks. And we are surrounded by terrain. The terrain has a lot of ownership in the hands of the Granby Land Trust. And the terrain over here is very steep. There's a lot of relatively inaccessible, but more importantly, undevelopable land on this slope over here. So that when we have streams coming down here, the Fox Stream and the Wright Stream, this is the Ring Brook, and we have, that's Ring Brook there. When streams come down here, they do two things. They pass through forest, and they tumble. They tumble over a lot of crags in these steep streams. Everybody's familiar with Enders and the steepness there. These streams in the western portion of Granby aren't quite that steep, nor do they have the type of cataracts that you see at Enders. What do you suppose that does? Tumbling down forested land.
It aerates the water.
It aerates the water. Good. It aerates the water with oxygen. And what else does it do? This is all forested land. Now, of course, 150 years ago, this land was all clear and was sheep. But then the West opened up, and the people who lived up here, they just headed west. Who wants to, farm rocky soil, which is, if you've been up here, and seen some of the magnificent stone walls, is extraordinary. So they cleared out, and the forest came back. Forest provides what?
It's a watershed, doesn't it? To help with the filtering and the cleaning? And
Well, it's going to stabilize the soil, so you don't get runoff, which was a current problem when we had sawmills along both of the branches of the Salmon Brooks. Siltation was a huge issue. But tumbling water in shaded forest is going to be, because of the shade, it's going to be cold. And because of the tumbling, it's going to have high oxygen. And these are two of the factors that contribute to the high quality, not so much of the Salmon Brooks themselves, but of the feeder streams. It's the feeder streams that are inaccessible and that feed high-quality, pristine water into the larger brooks that tumble down from Granville, and some come out of Harland, and then we have some coming out of Southwick. It is a contributory area. Granby has about 40 square miles, which translates to, there's probably 27 square miles in the Salmon Brook watershed. Salmon Brook watershed, as you know, is part of the Farmington River watershed, which has about 600 square miles. And then we get up into the Connecticut River watershed, which has something over 11,000 square miles. So these are all wed together through water flow. We are really fortunate to have the type of water that comes down through these steep slots. On the East Branch, there's a larger exposure to flatland and to agriculture. So there's a difference in the water quality between the West Branch and the East Branch. This runs a lot more flat. It comes down, it starts down at a steep pace, but then it runs flat. Water temperature's a few degrees higher, and there's more silt. There's fewer areas of rocky bottom. It's characteristically a different stream. We're going to concentrate on this business over here. How do I know that the water is high quality? How can I tell? I can look at it, I could drink it, I could chemically test it. But chemical testing, as you may be aware, is momentary. At that moment you test it, it's okay. I want to know over a longer period of time, with a different measure, about the water quality.
What, particularly I think invertebrates live there.
What's an invertebrate?
A lot of them are aquatic insects,
Yeah.
and there's some that are really good indicators that only live in really, really clean
That's right.
waters.
That's right. We call that what we're getting at. Good comment there. Rapid bioassessment. It is the highest, it's the best indicator of the determined stream quality. Rapid bioassessment takes place, obviously, in the stream, and it uses well, I'm going to start with this. This is a rapid bioassessment tool. I can hold it this way, or this way, but I'm sure you recognize what it is. It's just a net. It's a calibrated net. That is to say, it's got a certain amount of entrance point, and then it also has a certain mesh that is going to trap organisms of only fairly large quality, what we call macroinvertebrates, large organisms without backbones. And we go into the stream, but we have to have a place to look for them. And let's take a look. Find that spot. Oh, look, it's me. Forgot to suck it in again. There we go. Let's see if I can get this to play here. We gotta get some volume up here. The volume is still good here. No, we don't want to do that. Bear with me. Oh, there we go.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, now. How am I doing? Students just love being like that. I'm here with my valuable assistant, on Tuesday, we'll see exactly what we have. there. Riffle kicking. So those of you who may not be able to see it, you take the net, you place it, you anchor it downstream, and then you simply agitate the substrate in front of it, and it kicks up, and you collect everything that goes in the net. You get each kick lasts approximately a minute, and you get quite a bit. Today I was in there, and I got a lot of sand and gravel. That's a different problem, but the net is very effective at trapping virtually everything that flows into it. I had in mind collecting a particular macroinvertebrate this morning, which of course it didn't show up. But I got some others here, and we will look at them. You collect them, you sieve them, you collect them in again a sieve with a particularly sized mesh, and the little stuff, the microinvertebrates and algae, they go through, and you're left with the macroinvertebrates. And you sort them according to their anatomy. It's a little tricky. I didn't do a lot of it on this today's sample. But you get these cards. Flathead mayfly, moderately wanted. That means that it's a relatively tolerant species. That is to say, it can live in a little less cool, little warmer water with a little lower oxygen concentration. Common net spinner. I've got a lot of them in there, and they have suddenly disappeared. I don't spend a lot of time looking for them, but we'll find one or two. And this is the guy I was after, the giant stonefly, for two reasons. The giant stonefly is not giant, he's not that big, he's probably an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter long. It's a very beautiful organism, but it's also one of the most primitive organisms on Earth. It goes back hundreds of millions of years with its ancestry. It is also most wanted. That is to say, it is not tolerant of anything but cold water with high oxygen. And I didn't get them. Case builders. I didn't get these. They were not in abundance this morning, but I did get other caddisfly larvae. These build little structures for the housing of particular shapes, and then they back into them, or they secrete them around themselves, and they are protected from predation. And we got quite a few of these guys today. They're moderately wanted. Dragonflies and damselflies. I've got a couple of each. They're kind of fun to look at. And we've got some saddle case makers attached to rocks, and you can see that these two are most wanted. So we've got a good cross-section. But it's not, you can't just go in and say, okay, I got these guys, and this guy, and it looks pretty good. You've got to build a case where you do this statistically. And the measure is, what is the abundance and what is the diversity? You want a lot of diversity, and you don't want the abundance of any particular species. So we want good diversity. And it takes quite a bit of sampling to find that diversity. I know it's there, but I didn't get it this morning. You may criticize me, thank you.
It's all Dave's fault.
I'm sorry?
It's all Dave's fault. You're
Yeah, right, it's totally his fault.
Yeah.
He's in California, what does he know? What I'm gonna do is pass a few of these guys around, because they are. I'm gonna start with isolated, I think. Actually, I'll start with Tepulidae. Tepulidae, you don't see these because they get down in the rocks in between the spaces, and they lie low. What you see are their adult forms. You find them on your stoops underneath your lamps, your evening lamps. The crane fly. They all start in the water. It looks like a giant mosquito. It doesn't bite. It just looks that way. I'm going to take this guy out of here. Put him here. And probably crushing some bubbles. Now we've exposed them, so that's a little bit better. Take a couple of Tepulidae out here. Okay, pass these around.
Show.
They're elegant.
Hey, what's that?
They're kind of fun to look at. Pass them around, and get a a good look at them. These are relatively common. Their nickname is leather jacket because their outer skin appears leathery. It's not, it's kind of mushy. They don't bite. Very few of these organisms bite. Hellgrammites will have large pinchers, and they can get you. But they're of very little ferocity. This is indicative of moderately pristine waters. This is the second category, the yellow category. It's not the highest.
And this is what's in the Farmington River?
This is in the
drifting?
Salmon Brook, the west branch of the Salmon Brook.
And where does that water come from?
It comes out comes out of East Harland, comes out of Granville, and it comes out of Southwest.
So that's what we see going down Route 20, the brook.
If you go down Route 20, you will see that, right, and you cross over the Salmon Brooks there.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the consequence of all of the feeder streams. There are 14 feeder streams that come into the Salmon Brooks, and that's a substantial number. They're well defended by their location. Oh, we go. All right. Everybody take a look at that guy.
The worm. Oh, yeah.
Just hold it out.
And where do they usually find these?
I should have given a much better description of the riffle. The riffle is a relatively high-speed water as opposed to pools and runs on the brooks. As water proceeds over these shallows, the rocks will tend to take a hydrodynamically efficient position. That is, they will lie flat. And that causes them to have crevices in between all of the rocks. And in between those crevices, embedded in the substrate, are these organisms. And that's why I'm able to riffle pick and to bring them up. Here's two more. These guys around there. Anybody recognize these?
Yeah, I can get this out.
This is a high water quality intolerant.
I want to take a picture and see if I can get it. Can you hold it in front of the camera?
I'm sorry?
Just hold it still.
You can begin to think in those terms. They are.
Thank you.
They demand cool,
Yeah, you could pass it
high
out.
oxygen water. Oh, beautiful.
Piggyback.
This is really hard to film. I'll wait till it comes in.
This is a rock.
Where am I? I'm trying to get the thing there. Ah, there we go.
That I didn't name him. I was wondering if anybody could name him. I just put him out there. Yes.
Gene, can you hold it like towards me?
Sorry about that, folks.
Right there. Excellent.
It is a mayfly.
Excellent. Oh, another one. Okay,
It goes by the
good.
name
Great.
of Isonychia.
Thank you.
And it is, it's unusual, but I'm not going to tell you why. You're going to have to figure that out. This rock, simply plucked out of the stream, out of the riffle, is covered with caddisfly larvae. You can see all this grainy quality on the edge of the stone. Each one of those is a caddisfly larva that has gathered together 20 or 30 grains of sand and small pebbles and made itself a housing and has locked itself down against the rock surface. And these guys filter out detritus, that is dead leaf and organic matter as it comes down the stream. And they are the consumers of the important falling leaves. And this They're also, if they try to venture out of here, they're quickly preyed upon by the larger macroinvertebrates. I don't know if we can pass this around. I'll simply leave it up here. You can come and look at that at some point. We have some more in here. I need the, let's see. I have call photographs. Last week.
As long as it was wrong.
Yes.
One of the specimens here has like a tiny little bug on top.
Leave some outside.
Little bug on there?
I don't know where he got this from.
Maybe have the,
Oh, yeah, good. This guy right there. I was looking for him and I didn't find him. So
You want to show him here?
I'm going to put him in here. And if those people who saw this one,
yeah.
this is kind of funny because there's a small,
down Route 20.
larva in here.
No, Tom.
I'm going to try to get him aside because,
It's the same type of thing that the big one?
no, this is a free-living caddisfly. Yep. It's really nothing to look at. You can see. I was giving a talk, and actually, I was in charge of outside speakers for a while, and we had a guy who was going to talk about industrial diamonds. And he held these industrial diamonds up, and the people in the back were people were leaning forward. He didn't have them in his hand. He was just holding his fingers up like that. And he was awful. He was awful. But he was better than the taxidermist who came in the week before. And if you're not offended, a kid asked the question, "What's the largest animal you've ever mounted?" He says, "I once mounted a moose."
Oh, my goodness.
I'm glad we found this guy because it was the most abundant in terms of the diversity. We had relatively narrow diversity, but in terms of abundance, this little guy right here, who is a free-swimming caddisfly larva, I could have brought thousands of them. Hydrocyclidae is his name, and he's plentiful in the stream. He's one of those that's in the middle level. He's not particularly demanding of high oxygen concentration or cold. They do quite well, and you'll find them in all streams in abundance. Yeah, Temperate here, he's getting a little agitated, probably because what he's doing is he's breathing. He's got pores in his skin through which oxygen is brought, and the oxygen level in this is a little low. So this is one way that they compensate. Okay, let's go for some of the bigger guys here.
So when you get water down,
All these Latin words, what does it mean to me?
I'm sorry. They lie low. There are reasons to not drink water that comes off the mountain. In Granby, what would that be?
Giardia.
Giardia. I don't know if we have Giardia. I haven't read anything about it. Do we?
Don't know.
This guy here.
This is why I'm so healthy, from eating these bugs.
These are two similar organisms, and so you should get a look at both of them and see if somebody doesn't know.
Take a fish.
I think the water's healthy, so things don't really...
These are relatively common. They're in the second level group, and we see their adult forms frequently in the open around ponds, and they will perch on top of cattails, which is why you don't cut grass around ponds for the adults of these. Any stabs at
2
those?
feet or so to cut some.
Anybody? They are beautiful. They're very elegant. One of them is a dragonfly nymph, and the other one is a damselfly nymph. Damselflies are the narrow ones. Dragonflies are the larger ones. They go under the name of mosquito hawks. People are a little leery of them when they come near you, but they don't. They're harmless, and they deserve our respect. I think I could have an easier time catching these guys, but the ones I'm after now are very quick. And very agile. And they're quick. The damselfly is the narrow one, and the dragonfly is the broader one. I've got younger forms in here, but they're really the same. This guy. Let's see what we got here. Free deviled egg to the person who gets these.
I was a teacher. So was I. But we did hard touch work for some of them from middle school. We don't take care of it. So, but you know, I was born in, I grew up in Granby actually, so it's fun to see those.
Yes, name that critter.
So he's a dragonfly. He's skinny, but he's not as skinny as a damselfly. Yeah, maybe you've already seen him.
Are these water dragons?
They're nymphs, they're like the immature.
See those in the tree of the order?
So when he grows up, he'll
Being over at the temple?
dragon.
The one that
Yeah.
They're in the same substrate as this, all of this.
You know, a
All of these
rock,
specimens.
and that'll turn into a dragonfly. You can sort of see it in their
Are you
heads.
thinking
Not
of?
quite, because he's covered with
If
junk.
you see them, are you looking at the ones that are free swimming?
In fact, the other
These guys
day,
don't free swim. If you don't go after them, you'll never see them. That's the question we have out here on the floor. What is it?
his skin, and I saw the dragonfly. I didn't see him hatch. I said,
We've established that it's a fish. That much. Bravo. Yes, it's good. And so, if you're going to know what it is, then you know right away. If you don't know what it is, you don't know. So it's no, it's full grown. That's mature fish.
You couldn't go out there with so many flying around that.
Yeah, no, you have to. I know.
All these comes out as a possibility.
these guys? Yeah, right. They'll eat anything smaller than that. They'll eat, well, they'll eat
I think the one here, the one season.
so he would eat mosquito larvae, like little beetles. He has a
Any takers?
He has a little mouth part that just goes up and grabs things.
We know it's a fish. This fish you wouldn't see because it lives along with the macroinvertebrates between the crevices and underneath rocks. For obvious reasons. Yeah, it is designed evolutionarily to avoid predation, not that it knows that there's a predator out there, because that would be the last thing that would pass on the brain. So it is designed evolutionarily to avoid predation by having
No,
crops.
yeah.
And the only way you catch them is by riffle base. That's full grown. That's the other asset value. Don't grow large. You might grow maybe half an inch larger than that, but that would be big as an adult. And they lay eggs underneath the stones and everybody's. Okay. I guess they're meeting in the middle.
What did you say that little?
Placostomus, it looks a little like a placostomus. It's a fairly primitive fish, like a placostomus.
It's a bug.
But, no, that's a pretty good run on it, though. Pretty good run. It has kind of a unique name, and you probably not heard it before. It's called a slimy sculpin. Raise your hand, Oh, yeah! Slimy sculpin. The sculpinidae is a family of fish. They don't grow large. Their evolutionary niche is prey. They feed on small macroinvertebrate eggs and algae and diatoms and all those things that tend to nestle down in the crevices with them. But it's kind of a cute fish, and you can always kind of guarantee you'll get a couple if you go out riffle picking. As important as it is to ask what's there, what's the other obvious question? What's not there? What's not there? And we're missing dozens of classes of organisms that would verify the quality of the stream. They aren't there. Well, they are there, but they're not there. So that's a what are we missing? What did we expect to find?
Crayfish?
You won't find too many crayfish in the riffles. They tend to they'll be in the pools. There are plenty of them in the pools.
Tadpole?
Got to go the other way. They left. They're gone. They were there in great abundance.
We can't hear that back here. What was it?
They left. They were gone.
No, what
Yes,
was
you told
gone?
us.
That's what we're working on. They left. The highest indicators. They're there every year. They're the highest indicators, and they come and they're there. They live just like the dragonfly nymph. They may live in the water for a year. They're known as the ephemeroptera. Ephemeral means fleeting or short-lived. Ephemeroptera means short-lived winged ones. And these are the mayflies. The mayflies hatch and leave.
Everywhere.
That's why they're not there. You can't find them. Salmon Brook does not have outstandingly large hatches as the ephemeroptera. They have fairly good hatches. If you go over there on a mid-May afternoon at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they emerge from the water, they cling to the tree, they mate, they lay their eggs. The eggs hatch within hours, and the adults die. So a year in the water is given up for 24 hours of adult life, the ephemeroptera. The adults don't even have mouth parts. They don't feed. They mate and die. In some places on the Mississippi tributaries, they have to use snow plows to move dead carcasses. Why would they have this strategy? It seems like it's the synchrony of midges, or these larvae, these midges, emerging all at once is stunning. Many insects have this. In Ohio now, they are having the 17-year locust is emerging. The synchrony of 17 years. Why 17? What are you can have the 5-year, the 11-year, or the 17-year locusts that stay underground for duration, and then they all come out by the millions. What are they doing? What does it tell you about their existence? How do I maximize my reproductive effort? How do I get the most out of the greatest assurance that I'm going to produce the next generation?
Well, they don't get eaten by
something else.
Overwhelm the predators. Put more out there than the predators can possibly consume. Put millions out there at once. It also says that millions of the offspring are going to die in the activity when they are introduced to predators in the water. But it's safer in the water for a year than it is on the outside, where predators are numerous and there's very little shelter. So Ephemeroptera are missing, but we know they're there. Salmon brooks have a good abundance of the mayflies. Elegant and worthy and proof that the salmon brooks are in great shape. Not perfect shape, but if you travel from Granby toward Hartford, you run into more and more streams that have been so compromised by development and by flood control and by runoff. We're very fortunate, and it is worth the efforts of the Harland Land Trust to maintain that level. Which brings us to what are the threats? What are the threats to streams?
Well, you said runoff, like from the roads.
Runoff from road, containing what?
Salt.
Salts. Anti-icers. What else? Oil, lots of oil. Oil from parking lots.
Roundup.
If it goes in the ground, it ends up in the sound. And its pulses of a low level, but if you have long periods of time where there's no runoff, it tends to build up and it can be a high level impulse to streams. I think of Geisler's parking lot downtown. If there's just enough slope to take water off somewhere, it's always laden with high concentration water. So yeah, runoff from roads. Catch basins. Sand on the road ends up forming these deltas in streams. Well, that becomes unusable turf for these types of organisms. They can't live in sandy bottoms. They have to have those rock crevices in which to breed and hide from predation. So what else?
Fertilizer?
I'm sorry?
Fertilizer?
Fertilizer, in the form, what's the chemical in fertilizer? Nitrogen. Yeah, nitrogen runoff is a big issue. Agriculture, we're lucky in Granby to have farmers who tend to have a buffer of plants that will take up the nitrogen before it can run off the field into the stream. That's good practice, and it's spreading. And but in larger farms, there's less care for that. Nitrogen off of lawns. People like lawns. I never understood that. My lawn has probably 35 different species of plants in it. I mow it, it's green, I walk away.
Me too.
But fertilizer runoff from lawns, golf courses. Except for cemeteries, probably the single worst use of land. I play golf too. I do my part.
He's got a good sense of humor.
What else?
Yeah.
There must be more threats.
People in garbage.
I'm sorry?
People in garbage.
Yeah, there's the detritus. You've all these massive Texas-sized gyres in the Pacific that are coming to awareness of plastics. The microbeads, pesticides, herbicides.
Why are we burying plastic?
It just ends up in the waterway, in the watershed.
Yeah,
And it's-
shouldn't it be something else done with all the plastic?
Sure, we shouldn't be using it for its convenience. Cheap and convenience, it's a great combination. Anything else?
Dead animals?
Yeah.
What about flooding?
Flooding, yeah, that was the end of Trout Brook in West Hartford. The Army Corps of Engineers came in and, we're going to save all these houses because they had a massive flood in 1978, and they transformed the stream into a kind of a dead zone. They lost Trout Brook, which now becomes the Park River, which goes under the city of Hartford, which is out of sight, out of mind. It's kind of a sad case, but it's beyond reach.
What about sunlight from lack of shade? Did we talk about that?
Deforestation is going to be a factor. Again, I think Hartland is well forested. The state of Connecticut is roughly 56% forested. It's mixed temperate deciduous forest, that not only it provides cool and shade, but the leaves provide food for things like caddisfly. Anything else?
Animal wastes.
Yeah, to a certain degree, animal waste. That's kind of historically always been there. And so that's kind of, we co-evolved with that. But yeah, you can, if you throw in agricultural animal waste, now you got a problem. That's called eutrophication. That is well feeding of the stream, and it promotes the growth of bacteria and algae. Streams less than stationary bodies of water, but nonetheless it is a problem.
Oh, what about siltation or,
Yeah.
sediments?
Sediments, runoff, yeah. If you deforest, you get, the soil is disturbed and runs. Gymnodinium, not gymnodinium. Rock snot,
Yeah, ditto.
cited again in the upper Farmington River.
Didimo.
Didimo. Yeah. Didimo planium gennatum or something like that. Yeah, that's transported, it's thought, by fishermen, boats, tackle. And there's a constant watch for it because it produces an awful dense mat that blocks light to bottom feeders that are looking to become part of the food web. It's a diatom, which is a microscopic plankton. Anything else?
Acid in the rain.
Yeah, good one. Acid rain. We've done better. And some organisms are more tolerant of acidity, and some require basic alkalinity. We're pretty lucky to have runoff through some limestone here, but not much. There are some at about pH 6.9, 6.8, which is pretty neutral. It's pretty good, but yeah, good one. Anything else?
Temperature.
What about temperature?
Starting to go up.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Yeah, climate change. It's in cities because you don't sense it, you don't see it. But the long-term effects on streams and on wetlands will be, in some cases, to produce more water. In some cases, where as the rain shifts and we get the concentration of El Nino thrown in on top of it. And in other cases, a depletion of rain. The stream and the forest that surrounds it. The temperate deciduous, or the mixed temperate deciduous forest, is a rich diversity. But not all the trees have the same degree of tolerance for temperature change and for moisture change. And that creates an additional pressure. Will this happen in my lifetime? I probably won't see it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Climate change is pervasive, and it's a whole other topic. I don't mean to drag it out here tonight. But how many people are aware of it in general as an item on our national agenda? People, a bunch of land trusts.
Tree huggers.
It's funny.
These guys back in here. There. I thank you, and my organisms thank you. I'm done. It's a pleasure to be here. Good folks. Feel free to drive through Granby anytime.
Dick, I know you're a golfer, so other than green, what is your favorite color?
Oh.
No, seriously, what is your favorite? No, seriously, what is your favorite color?
Tough questions.
Give him some choices.
Red, white, or black?
I tend to adopt a blackish look.
What are you trading it in?
You're most kind. I will wear it. I will wear it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very much, and thanks to all of you. I'm trying to keep it to a minimum because I know when I look out at my students and they're like, ooh. Yeah.
So, is our water drinkable? Like, no. Okay.
That's simply because it has low level, and I think it was brought up earlier, animal waste. If you get it as it comes out of a rock, before it's had a chance to run across any surface. They're down at the Granby Tennis Club, there are the back rocks. You can drink it right there, but not out of the stream. No, you'd have to.
But as long as it's running, you're saying?
No,
running down.
you got to get it as it is leaking out of a crevice in a rock. There's a lot of it, the water, people frequently ask, how did their water get up the hill? You know, what's it? How did it up there? You know? It's relatively simple, and it's hydrostatic pressure, volume and mass of water everywhere pushes water up through cracks in stone in the granitic highlands. You're in the you're in the foothills of the Appalachians, the Berkshires. But there are cracks in the granitic rocks, and water will seep through there as it filters through. That water's okay, because it has been filtered on its journey up through the substrate.
There's a point of getting that on Western Road.
A water.
All over, and it is, it's something like that.
Yeah, and it's very.
Yes.
Water doesn't. I tell my students, what does water taste like? Water doesn't have a taste.
I know, that's what they said.
But you're tasting the magnesium usually. Water is tasteless. Why is that?
No water, no taste.
It's not that you can't taste it, it's just we're not designed to taste it because you might not like it. And it's the most vital substance that we take in other than oxygen. And if somebody doesn't like water, you're kind of doomed.
You think that you're alluding to the fact we should have our water, most of us, all of us are on a well here in Harland.
Yeah, we're well people too.
You are.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
that- So the water should be tested frequently, I would think.
He says no.
Not unless you have a contamination problem that presents itself, such as runoff getting into your well. But that water has been through, my water comes down from the Holyoke Range that enters my well. And it has passed through virtually infinite filtration to get to my well. And all I'm doing is with my 200 feet or so is tapping that pure water for that high quality water. And the mix of minerals in it represents the pickup on the journey down here.
But the old wells are not as deep. Maybe.
That's right. No, those were open wells, the artesian system,
Yeah.
sure. I test that when we, up at Granby Tennis Club, we used to have them up on the hill. And guys would go up there and there'd be frogs swimming in. It takes water, it takes fun.
If you had taken your samples up here
Yeah.
prior to the Granby line, what difference would you expect in terms of what you found in the water? Really, you
No.
would find some of these guys?
You'd find all of them and you'd find pretty much the same. Moosehorn Brook would be a good place to sample coming out of Harland. No, it's the same. The abundance and diversity might be a little different. But they're all not, in fact, I only found 2 organisms that were in the lower level. I couldn't find them in here, and it's a midge. And there was only one of them in all of my kicks. I probably took 50 or 60 kicks today. They weren't scientific, it was just, let's get some stuff. It was a good day. I wouldn't say, it's a fun day. Go out there and kick around and pick up stones and good stuff.
Can you dump those back in the brook? And
They're going back in tomorrow morning, yeah. They'll be fine. I put them in the garage tonight, they'll be cool out. Yeah.
So what do you think about bottled water?
I think it's another one of our silly little quirks that people buy into unnecessarily.
And it's not all spring fed, is it?
Well, it comes out of a well just like the one I have. Geisler sells 24 bottles for like $2.
Yeah.
And they want to put the one in, is it the Bloomfield, that they want to tap from the NDC that you are going to pay for? Or, I don't know. You're not in the NDC. Is it Harland NDC?
Yes, well, the water
provide water.
comes from,
From water comes.
Yeah, no, that's,
Dick? So for hikers, Long Trail, Vermont, many times you're going to filter the water, but if you're off trail, are there places that you can fairly be safe drinking the water?
I wouldn't dare to comment.
See?
If it's coming out, if it's coming out of a pipe, that's embedded,
That's different.
I trust it. But last week I had 3 bear sightings.
Yeah.
And you know what they do with
A lot of places in New Hampshire, they have pipe.
Tomorrow. Thank you, you're delightful lights. Appreciate it.
Just a couple other things before we break. You may, if you've read the newsletter, you probably know that we just got our second land holding, 48 acre parcel in West Harland off of Highview Road, donated by Jeffrey Beach. And we have a outstanding conservation award to give to him, but he's in Nebraska right now, so we're going to be mailing it to him. It's named in loving memory of his parents, Charles and Lois Beach. And then we have our first land holding is the Bassett Kell Preserve that's over off of Mill Street in West Harland. It's a 23 or 24 acre parcel. And we had a bio survey done on that by Betsy Corrigan, a field biologist. And we had some volunteer help with that. And one gentleman by the name of Tom Dyer, who's here this evening, did a fauna study on that property, and his volunteer we would like to award him with a certificate of appreciation. Tom? Nikki Hall did a bird survey on that property also, and unfortunately I don't think Nikki's here this evening, but we're going to award her a certificate as well. Well, that concludes the program for this evening, and if you'd like to have some refreshments, don't forget the donation jar. Don't forget the donation jar.